When am I gonna know to start?
I will signal you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Megan, you are good to go. See you in a few.
Awesome. Thanks, Rafi. All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We have this afternoon another wonderful Childhaven team member joining us, Jessica Peters. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks. Hi.
So Jessica is, I'm going to turn it over to her shortly to let her tell us about her work, but Jessica is a member of our early intervention team at Childhaven. So it's a team that works with kiddos in the birth to 3 age range around a variety of developmental concerns and providing all sorts of great support to families. So we're super excited to have you join today, Jessica, and share a little bit about your work, as well as kind of some things families can look out for in their kids' development and kind of what support's available. So maybe if you could start by just giving an overview of who you are and what you do at Childhaven.
Yeah, so I'm an occupational therapist, so I work with children to develop their fine and gross motor skills, as well as self-care skills such as feeding, dressing, things like that. And like you mentioned, I work in the early intervention team, and we work with children from birth all the way up until their 3rd birthday.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of what you recommend to parents I guess a couple of things. One, kind of things that parents can look out for in terms of kids' development, and particularly during this time, right, where more parents are home with kids and maybe not out in the environments where they might normally be. And then what's the process parents can go through if they have worries or concerns?
Yeah, definitely. There's some good resources out there for being able to track developmental milestones. So I'm going to try to share my screen so you can kind of go over those. Give me 1 second. Okay. Cool. So you should be able to see, I'm on the CDC's website for developmental milestones. And this is really nice because they go over every few months, basically, what to expect. So, you can click on one of them, goes over the different areas, social, emotional, language, communication, cognitive, kind of things that you should be seeing. And something that's really nice is they have little pictures of like what milestone means.
That's very cool.
Or some of them have like a little video. So if you're like, I don't really know what cooing is, play the video and kind of get an example. Another great thing is if you scroll down to the bottom, they kind of give you an idea of what to look for, or if your child isn't doing certain things, kind of when to be worried, sort of. So for the 2-month-old, if your 2-month-old isn't responding to loud sounds, isn't watching things as they move, isn't smiling at people, that's kind of your cue as a parent to maybe talk to your pediatrician or call an early intervention provider. So nice thing about CDC again is it kind of tracks along with those well baby visits, but it's something you can always access in between those visits with your doctor if you are concerned or if you just don't really know. They also have a Milestone Tracker app that you can download and look at as well. Kind of covers all the same stuff. And then another great website is parenthelp123.org. Very similarly, they go over developmental milestones. So if we go over to the child development, you can go to developmental screening, and you can actually do the ages and stages questionnaire if you do start the screening. And this is provided by Within Reach. So they will score it for you and they'll give you a call to talk about the results. So if there are any concerns, then they can, immediately connect you with an early intervention program. They also have developmental milestones. It kind of takes you back to the CDC's website. If you start, at the parenthelp123.org, you can get to those milestones as well through the CDC.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's what I'd really recommend, like parents starting at and looking at if they're, have no idea what to look for, what to expect their child, to be doing at certain ages. That's a really great place to start.
That's great. And that's very cool that with the Parent 123 that it will connect right into Within Reach, which for folks that aren't familiar with that as an organization in our area, right, who can connect to all the different early intervention programs. So that's very cool. I'm curious, Jessica, how you talk about, one of the things I think that parents kind of wrestle with is how much do I wait and see versus how much do I kind of go ahead and, if I have something I'm wondering about, seek out support. How do you think about that as an early intervention provider?
Yeah, I always think that, each child develops at their own rate. Though there are some key milestones that, we don't want to wait too long for them to start achieving some of those things. So I really just recommend if parents have concerns, just call. You can always talk to someone and say this is what I'm seeing, or I don't know when to expect this, and get more information. We don't want you to sit at home being really worried, constantly Googling things. I'd recommend just calling, especially for, I feel like as parents, we always compare our child to, their sibling, to the neighbor's child, to your cousin's. So these are some nice resources to be able to compare to children, and a broader scale.
Makes sense. Can you tell us about some of the things that you look for in your evaluations with kids? So when kids do get to the point of coming and meeting with you and getting a little bit more detailed look, what are the kinds of things you're looking out for?
Yeah, so when we do an evaluation, it's two providers. So maybe an OT like myself and a speech therapist or a special instructor, physical therapist. There will always be two of us to give a different perspective. We're going to look at all 5 areas of development. We're going to look at those motor skills, self-help skills, cognitive skills, communication skills, social emotional skills. We use a couple different assessments. So to qualify for early intervention, we're really looking to see if a child has a 25% delay or negative 1.5 standard deviations below the norms in any of those areas. But we're also not only looking at skill level and mastery of skills, but we're looking at the quality of those skills. So a child may be able to sit up, but I'm going to also be looking at, are they clenching every single muscle in their body and clenching their jaw to help their tiny body to do that? Because that's going to mean that, they're working extra hard to do some of those things that are going to give us a clue to what else could be going on with their development. So we're going to look at that. And then we also look at a child's history and maybe any diagnoses that they have, because we're looking to see if any of those diagnoses maybe have a correlation with developmental delays that we want to be looking out for to be able to support the family earlier to prevent some developmental delays.
Yeah, and that's such a good point that what you're just landing there around like supporting early to prevent delays. I think I'm imagining some parents could have the wondering of like, if I'm engaging with these services earlier, does it mean there's going to be something always, like a delay is going to persist forever? There's going to be always something that's problematic. And it seems like what you're saying, which makes sense with my understanding too, is that oftentimes kids graduate out of early intervention, right? They get the support they need and then they go on to develop really typically. And then some need support for longer. It's a mix, but it doesn't necessarily mean because you need these services when you're tiny that it's going to be a persistent problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, sometimes, we see maybe an issue earlier and then we work on it and they leave us before they turn 3. And like, that's amazing. That's wonderful. We love it when that happens.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit, a story about a kiddo that you've worked with to kind of give a little bit more flavor to the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So to kind of keep going along the process. So after we do an evaluation, if a child does meet the criteria and they qualify, then we offer parents, whatever appropriate services they think that the child could benefit from. And if they consent, then we create a plan with the family and create some goals to work on based on the activities and routines that the child and the family find challenging and what the family's priorities are. So to give a little more context to this story, so one family I had, their child initially qualified for having a delay with their gross motor skills. The parent really wanted her 2-year-old to be able to walk up and down the stairs in their house because mom also had an infant and she couldn't carry both of them up and down the stairs, as you can imagine. So that was our goal and that's what we worked on. So we started out practicing stepping up and down on a single step stool. And then we moved to like the actual stairs in the home, going up a few stairs at a time and going back down, slowly progressing until we were able to do like the whole staircase. We made it really fun by singing songs, like marching to the beat. We also put little paper footsteps on the steps to show her where to put her feet to help her out. So that's kind of a little example of what the process looks like and what therapy looks like sometimes.
Yeah, I'm curious if you could say a little bit about how parents or other family members are usually like involved in the process of therapy.
Yeah, so parents or caregivers definitely kind of involved because we're there for, maybe 45, 60 minutes once a week, and yet parents are with them the rest of the time. So it's really important that they're involved so that they can carry on those strategies and really try out strategies week to week so that they can come back the next week and say, ooh, this really worked, we're doing great, or yeah, like that really didn't work. We need to try something different. We love feedback. And, we love involving the siblings as well. It's really great to have older siblings involved because, they play with their little siblings. And so it's, they can be big cheerleaders and they can really get their little siblings to do things that we can't. So
it's good to have the siblings on your side.
Yeah.
Excellent. So can you tell us a bit about how a family could access services if a family wanted to get more information or make a referral, be referred into the program? How does that work?
Yeah, so we get referrals a couple different ways. So one is you could go to your pediatrician, kind of talk about your concerns, and then we could get the referral from the pediatrician. Another option is to go to that parenthelp123.org and get connected with Within Reach, and we can get a referral from them. Or a really nice thing is parents and caregivers can self-refer. They can just call us up directly and say, these are my concerns. I'd like to have my child evaluated. And the really awesome thing is that we provide complete evaluations at no cost to the families.
Very cool. So yeah, so a number of different ways in, either coming directly or through your pediatrician. Awesome. Well, I know Rafi's going to pop back on in a second. We'll see if we've gotten any questions that have come through, but anything else you'd like to add about your work, or kind of how families can support kiddos when they've got concerns about development?
Just reiterating what you said earlier, is that really getting in earlier is better, so that, you know, we can address any concerns that families have, and kind of set them on that path of, you know, more typical development. Like you said, just because you get enrolled in early intervention, you know, really young doesn't mean you're going to need that support forever or long term. So the earlier the better.
I'm realizing one thing we haven't talked about is, what do services look like right now? Because usually you're doing mostly work in homes. So what do early intervention supports look like in the time of the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, so right now we're doing all tele-interventions. So we're doing kind of sort of what it looks like now is we're using Zoom. So we're seeing families a lot of times with on their cell phones in their home. It's been really beneficial for a lot of families, actually, because I think it's been really empowering some of the parents to try things out more, and because we're not there to, you know, the therapy. So we've been really getting a lot more parent coaching and having parents do things, try out different strategies with their kids. It's been going really well, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah. And a good for people to know that even though services have transitioned in that way, that they can still refer, and you can still start brand new with a family, even though we're not going into homes right now. Yeah. Rafi, any questions that have come through?
One of the questions is, how much time is required for evaluations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Typically about 90 minutes, about an hour and a half.
I know that you elaborated earlier on what what it kind of looks like during those intakes, but are those full 90 minutes with parents, or there's a time with just kid in the therapist, or?
We don't ever separate the child from the parent, just because even when we are in person, because we're strangers, you know, we want the child and to be comfortable. So kind of right now with the tele-intervention evaluations, we're doing a lot of parent interviews, asking parents questions, but then we're also asking that camera be facing towards the child so that we can watch and see what they're doing. You know, we can see them playing, and it's really nice because they're comfortable in their own home. So, you know, we'll see kids, you know, bouncing around on the couch and playing with the toys that they actually have in their home, or we can see them, you know, eating a meal at the table. So it gives us a really good insight into what a daily, you know, routine looks like for them.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think that's all the questions we have for now. Do you have any other final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I will just say that Jessica provided some great links and resources, and so we'll have all those available, or maybe they already are.
They are already on there.
Okay. But also please feel free to send any questions through Facebook or on our website. You can access the referral number, and our intake specialist is always happy to talk through any questions in terms of accessing services as well. Any final thoughts for you, Jessica?
I would just say that, you know, early intervention is awesome. It really does work. We've got a really great team here at Childhaven, you know, and I just really want to emphasize that, you know, us as providers, we know development, but parents and caregivers, like, they know their children. They're the experts on their children. So together we can make a really powerful team and really help those kiddos.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you. It's so good to have you.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week, but until then, hope folks can be well, and hope to see you in our next conversation.